Hey, welcome back. Jamie Hartley here again from Crossfader. Today we are going to be reviewing the brand new Pioneer DDJ-400 Rekordbox controller. This is their entry-level controller. Now we say it's entry-level, but it is packed full of features. So we're going to dive in, take a look at all of those features and just what they do, how to access them, and what you're getting for your money, especially if you're just starting out as a DJ. Could this be the controller that you start with? To those watching who are expecting a DDJ RB Mark II, this is the answer to it. It seems that Pioneer are trying to emulate their CDJ DJM range of equipment, but in controller format. They started with the DDJ-1000, the 4-channel controller that got announced and released a few months ago. Now we've got the DDJ-400. I can imagine there's something coming in between, but we're going to talk about that at the end of the video. For now, let's get stuck into this controller. This is a tutorial demo style review. If you're thinking about buying this controller, hopefully you can learn a few things and pick up a few things along the way, so when you get it, it helps you get started. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff to help us keep making more videos just like this one. The Pioneer DDJ-400 is an entry-level Rekordbox DJ controller. It comes with the Rekordbox DJ license, so you can get started right out the box. Firstly, the design inherits much of the layout from a club standard Pioneer setup, down to the fact the mixer and player sections have different finish to make you think that they're separate to each other. The DDJ-400 is powered by USB and features an RCA master out. There is an unbalanced mic input with level control and an 1/8" jack output for headphones. After plugging the controller in, you will be presented with a tutorial feature within the Rekordbox software. This explains how to get the audio output working correctly and showcases a few of the performance features to help you get started. The players have nice plastic cue and play buttons. The touch sensitive jog wheels also feel great, especially with the circular grooves around the edges. The tempo adjust control is a very generous size for an entry level controller. This gives you much more precise manual beat matching control. The mixer section is laid out just like the DJM series of mixers from Pioneer, with a master level on the top right, trim controls for each channel, a 3-band EQ control for each channel, and filters. The cue buttons allow you to preview each channel in your headphones, with a level and mixing knob for the headphones to the left hand side. It also features standard up faders and a crossfader for mixing, cutting and scratching between tracks. We will come back to the beat effects section shortly. The loop buttons are taken directly from the CDJs with a manual in and out plus an exit loop button. If you decide to loop in this way, make sure quantize is turned on in Rekordbox. You can also half and double the loop length with these arrow buttons. The exit button also acts as a reload button to jump back to the last set loop. You can store memory points in Rekordbox to either work from or as visual markers. First, set a cue point, then by holding shift you can select this right arrow which will store the point in the memory. To view the memory point in Rekordbox, just click here. After setting a few of these, you can then jump left and right to choose a new place to start your mix from. You can also store loops in the memory cue bank. To do this, set up a loop, then press shift and the right arrow. Now you can choose to activate this loop before the track reaches this point. To do this, hold shift and press the exit loop button. Now for the performance pads. There are 8 performance modes available with 8 red pads. First, the hot cue mode. This allows you to set up to 8 points throughout your track to jump to while mixing. Hold shift and press the pad again to delete that point. The second is beat loop mode. This maps out each pad to a different length loop, from 32 beats down to a quarter beat. Just hit a pad to activate the loop. Next is beat jump. This maps out the 8 pads to be able to jump left and right through the song at different length intervals. Holding shift and pressing either of the bottom right pads will navigate through the different pages of options in this pad mode. Then we have the sampler mode. To view the sampler in Rekordbox, just click here. This is used to start one-shot samples or loops to play over your music. This is independent to the 2 channels, and the level of the sampler will have to be changed in the software if any of your samples are too loud. By holding shift and pressing hot cue, you can access keyboard mode. This allows a DJ to choose any hot cue that is set and then pitch the track up and down from that hot cue point. Think of the pads as black and white notes on a piano. Using the shift button with the bottom left and right pads, again you can show the different pages available. The track can be pitched up or down by 12 semitones. Great for tone play routines. Shift and beat loop activates pad effects number 1. These are tactile effects that can be turned on by holding or pressing any of the pads. There are so many effects and parameters to choose from within the Rekordbox software. Shift and beat jump activates pad effects 2, basically another 8 slots to add pad effects into. Lastly, shift and sampler turns on the key shift mode. This will pitch your track up and down like the keyboard mode did, but it won't jump back to any hot cues. It'll just continue to play the track. Back to the mixer, let's look at the beat effects. To show up the beat effects in Rekordbox, just click here. First, use the arrow to choose your effect. Holding shift will toggle back up the list. After selecting an effect, use this switch to assign it to a channel or the master. Then change the beat fraction with these buttons to change how often the effect is applied. Lastly, turn the effect on and bring the level up. Some of these effects also work post-fader. Holding shift and pressing the on-off will activate something called a release effect. This is a way of turning your effect off. The release effects can be selected in the Rekordbox software. Okay, so my thoughts. If you're a first-time DJ, you're thinking about buying this as your first product as a DJ, then you're not going to be short of features. It might be a little bit overwhelming to get started with because there is so many creative features at your disposal. But the great thing about it is if your long-term plan is to eventually be playing in clubs or at bars and on the Pioneer CDJ DJing range, then the fact that Pioneer are going this way and developing controllers that sort of replicate those setups, then this is a great place to start. Just be careful about getting overwhelmed with that Rekordbox software because it can be very complex. But don't worry, we've got Rekordbox DJ courses perfect for this controller and many others, so you can check them out with the link. Moving on though, one of the other things to mention is, I might be wrong here, but I really struggled to get the recording to work with the microphone. I couldn't record my voice, I couldn't record the microphone through this controller. I could hear myself fine, but actually recording myself I couldn't do. Now whether I just could not find the setting to turn on and activate the microphone in the recording, I don't know. Hopefully Pioneer can help us out there, maybe even drop a comment below and let us know. But that's one of the things where you could easily do that on the DDJ RB, and I've struggled to make it work on this controller. Okay, looking at both controllers, there are a few differences now between the two, and I'm going to highlight them. First of all, the performance features. On the DDJ RB, it comes as standard with slicer and slicer loop, and there's a sequence call option, which we've lost on the new DDJ-400. So if you were someone that used those features, then maybe stick with the RB. You might be able to MIDI map them with the DDJ-400, but just to make you aware. The next thing is that the pitch fader now on the new DDJ-400 is literally twice the length pretty much of the DDJ RB. Now that's a massive plus in my eyes. Getting that huge pitch fader, or should I say a big entry-level controller pitch fader on something like this, perfect, great, well done Pioneer. But then because the tempo fader is bigger on this controller, it seems we've lost some of the size on the performance pads. So the performance pads on the DDJ-400 are a little bit smaller than those on the DDJ RB. We've also got much better looping options and the memory cue options, which is much better than what was on the DDJ RB before, so that's great. But then one of the downsides to the DDJ-400 is, if we have a look, let's put it in screen, all of this section here and here, on a small controller, this is all wasted space. There's nothing really here, and they've definitely condensed the mixer section down. So if you've got big hands and you're trying to do cuts and things with the faders, they're going to hit each other. Your hands are going to get in the way of each other when you're twisting the EQs. But then there's all this space that could have been used up. It would have been nice to see the headphone mixing and levels on the front face of the controller down here. And then all this space is free to kind of spread out what's going on in the mixer. But this really is still a great controller, so don't let these little things put you off. Would I call it an upgrade going from the DDJ RB to the DDJ-400? It is a slight upgrade. You're not going to suddenly be wowed by it. It's not like jumping from the DDJ RB to the RR, for example. It's still a similar level controller, but there are a few extra features and it does feel nicer to play on. And another thing, I'm really excited to see what comes in between this and the DDJ-1000. Are we going to get a DDJ-650 or DDJ-800? I hope so. Please Pioneer, if you're watching, 2-channel DDJ-1000 with those onboard displays, maybe pressure sensitive jog wheels. I'm just putting my wish list in there. Saying all that, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please, please, please drop any comments you've got in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer everyone. This is a great starting entry-level controller. So don't be put off by those few extra things that I mentioned. I'm gonna have lots of fun on this, and there's a performance video dropping soon.